Joshua Hart from JTH Boxing, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the cruiserweight legend himself, Mr. Enzo Maccarinelli. Enzo, first of all, it's an absolute honor to be joined by you today, and how are we doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for the invite to come on. Uh, Glad to help.
Well, yeah, so obviously we've already tried recording this once. My internet's clearly not it's clearly not on my side today, which is always a bit of a problem, but we'll get through it. The first thing I want to talk about is Welsh boxing as a whole. Before we start to look into your career specifically, I just want to look at the entirety of Welsh boxing and in particular Joe Cordina. As it froze again. Oh no, it's still there, right. So yeah, obviously Joe Cordina defended his belt recently back in Wales at the Cardiff Arena. I saw you at the event. Can I just get your thoughts on the event as a whole?
Yeah, it was a great event. It was nice to have World Championship boxing back in Wales. It was a great card. Gavin Gwynn Woodruff was a great fight. Sandy Ryan picking up her first world title. Jordan Thompson, an exciting cruiserweight. He faced his first test. It was a good card, and obviously Joe Rackimoff put on a terrific fight, and Joe ticked a lot of boxes and come out the rightful winner.
Well, yeah, so obviously, Joe's already won the world title once against Agawa. Had in my opinion, probably the knockout of the year last year. Um, and then got stripped of the title for an injury, and then re-won it. How Obviously you've been in a world title position before. How hard is it to stay mentally tough when things like that get in your way, like injuries and getting stripped of titles and all that kind of stuff?
It happens, mate, and it's sort of part of uh, part of the process of being a boxer. And half the time is how you handle these setbacks, how you handle these difficulties. That's what shows who the champions are. And it was an awful thing for Joe. It sets a bad precedent for other fighters. He just won a world title. He done the right thing. He had his surgery straight away, and they stripped him of it. And let's be honest, he probably wouldn't have fought for 8, 9 months anyway. They stripped him of it, so it's going to be a lot of fighters who need surgery, who need to stay out for a while, and they're going to be afraid to do it to have their belt stripped. But Joe showed the mentality of a true champion. He said from the start, "That's my belt. I'm having it back," and that's exactly what he did in a terrific fight.
I just want to talk about his performance. Obviously, I was sat here at home watching it, and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time because it was such an interesting back and forth firefight. Could I just get your thoughts on Joe's performance that night?
I thought it was a great performance. I said from the start it was going to be a tougher fight than Agawa. No one expected Joe to do that to Agawa, but I still thought it was going to be tougher anyway. Rakhimov was that type of fighter. He didn't really show his best against Barrett. I think he underperformed. Maybe underestimated Barrett a little bit, and he come to fight that night, and he didn't let Joe have his own way. Like I said, Joe had to take a lot of boxes. He got caught a few times, got hurt a couple of times. He had to stand his ground. But overall, he was the worthy winner, and I'm chuffed for the lad.
I just want to talk about the crowd in Wales. Obviously, we saw the crowd on the night. Just what is the card? Is it 5,000 seats in the arena?
Yeah, it's something that is very close. All the bars are close and stuff like that. So it's a nice setup for boxing. It gets everyone. There's a lot of shows where people only actually come to watch their friends or the main event, and they go to the bar, they spend all night in the bar, and then they can't be bothered coming down to the fight. But in the Motorpoint Arena, everything's close. It's a great setup for boxing, and that's why the crowd was pretty much there all night. I think it started packing in with the Woodruff Gwynn fight.
I was going to say that was what I was literally about to say. Normally when you see a fight at home, the arena tends to pack out when the main event's coming or when their friends fighting. But this one just seemed packed the entire night. I spoke to Gavin Gwynn yesterday, and we were talking about how the arena was basically full when he was getting out, and he wasn't even the co-main event. And then, like how good would it be to see a stadium fight in Wales headlined by someone like Joe Cordina, or even in the future one of the prospects who are coming up now?
Yeah, to be honest, just with Joe winning a world title, it just opens doors for other Welsh fighters. On the card, you had Brandon Scott, no one's ever heard of, and he come out smelling the roses. I think he was a highlight of the build up. He came across really well. Sammy Lee, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, a former fighter of my dad's. He had his first chance for exposure. He won the first round. It just gives opportunities for young fighters coming through. When I was fighting, when I was world champion, it was me, Joe Calzaghe, Gary Lockett, Nathan Cleverly, Kerry Hope, Bradley Price, Gavin Rees. It was loads of us on the same card, and it got us to the next level. It got us opportunities, and that's exactly what's going to happen now. A stadium fight with Joe involved. It's going to have to be something special. It's going to have to be a big name, but maybe we can start off in his local stadium, Cardiff. A bit of a smaller stadium, and then let's push. Let's dream big. Let's go for the big one and the Principality. But it's just great for Welsh boxing. So there's a lot of good fighters in Wales, but they just don't get the exposure, and they don't get the TV. The viewers of TV seeing them and helping them to build their brand and helping them to progress as fighters and businessmen. And let's be honest, boxing's a business these days.
And now I want to move and talk about your own career. So, for the people who are watching and don't know a lot about your career, could you just kind of give us a summary of your career, almost a story?
It was. I started off young. I had a big dream. I was told I was never going to achieve even a Welsh title. And at the end of the story, a roller coaster story, I pretty much won everything. And the only thing I didn't win was a Welsh title. So it's just a fantastic story. I set my goal to be a world champion. My dad set his goal for me to be world champion. I surpassed what everyone ever thought I could do.
I just want to talk about, in particular, sharing the ring with legends like David Haye and obviously Roy Jones Jr. Obviously, those two fights were very different. Obviously, David Haye, you came up short. Roy Jones Jr., you won. Like, how good did it feel to be able to share the ring with people like that, who are now looked at today as some of the legends of the sport?
But it was just a fight for me. And the good thing about me, when I boxed David, for example, we didn't have to fight. We could have gone our separate ways, but we both wanted to prove who was the best. And on the night, he proved he was better than me that night. It was a lot of things that went wrong, but no excuses. Things happened, but it was just good that we were around the time where everyone wanted to fight each other. I boxed. It was the top three, me, Mark Hobson, David Haye. I boxed the two of them. I wanted to fight the two of them. When I was 22, I got offered to fight Bruce Scott, who was the British and Commonwealth champion. I took that straight away. I got offered a 2 weeks notice a fight in Russia, in St. Petersburg for the European title against an absolute killer, they said. I took that. I was in a stage, I was in a sort of place where I only wanted to fight the best. I only wanted to fight big fights. I wouldn't care. When boxers say they wouldn't fight for money, I was one of them. I wouldn't fight for. I wouldn't have bothered me in the slightest. I just absolutely loved what I did.
Would you say there's almost a lack of people like yourself now? So you mentioned fighting the best. It almost feels like there's a lack of that. You've seen it with the heavyweights, Fury and Usyk, Fury and AJ, and you see it in every single weight division. Would like, do you think there's a lack of it nowadays?
There's a lack of it, but there's a lot more business involved. It's like for the Fury Joshua, for example. Me and David were different. We had different managers, different promoters. So promoters got together and they've done it. Same with Hobson, same with Bruce Scott. But with AJ and Fury, for example, people don't realize it's not just them that's got to say yes. Fury's with BT and ESPN, I think, in America. Joshua was with Sky at first. That was with his own. So, if you think there's a lot of money involved in that fight, we talk, of course, they could make something like $500 million. So what TV company has that gets the money. So it would take BT to say, no, we don't want the money. DAZN gonna have it, or DAZN will have to say, no, we don't want the money. BT can have it. It's a lot more. It's a lot more to sort out these days than two boys saying, "Yes, we want to fight. Let's fight." It's just so much has to be worked out. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it works.
And do you reckon if there wasn't so many things around it, do you reckon we would have seen a lot of these fights that people are dreaming of seeing?
100%, 100%. It all TV runs boxing. The promotional companies, they can get together, they can sort something out. They can have a fee, they can have a 60-40%, or that's that sort of thing. But with the TV, who's going to have it? If you have got a signed contract with a TV company, the TV company doesn't want you to fight on another TV company. So it's a lot to sort out. We talk about sponsors, sort of endorsements. I've heard stories running around where the fight got scanned, packed in because of endorsements. One wanted more from something else, and it is terrible. It is, but unfortunately, that's the way boxing is today.
And now I want to talk about you fighting Roy Jones Jr. While it wasn't the best Roy Jones Jr., it's still it's one of the sport's icons. What was it like to be able to share the ring with him?
It was mad, and he was never my hero. Obviously, I thought he was brilliant, and in his prime, he was probably unbeatable. There's not many in this world that could have beat him. And I was just sitting in the car one day, and I think I hadn't boxed for a while. I hadn't boxed a cruiserweight for a while, and I had a phone call off Frank. Frank said, "Oh, you're going off to fight Roy Jones." I said, "Roy Jones?" He said, "Yeah." He said he's in an 11 fight winning streak. They've seen you as cannon fodder. They thought it was going to be an easy night's work for them. And obviously, I said, "Yeah." I said, "I can't wait to go to America." He looked to box America. And he said, "Well," he said, "Russia." He said, "Apparently, Roy Jones is now a Russian citizen." So I had to go to Russia. And I remember at the weigh-in, I think at the public workout, they all thought Roy Jones was going to do it. He'd been sparring and beating some of the top prospects in Russia. They thought he was nailed on to beat me, and I think we went to the public workout, and I was hitting the pads. And if anyone's seen me hit the pads, they realise I sound different to everyone else. I sound frightening on the pads, and I remember seeing their face, and they thought that they knew they made a mistake that day, and we had the weigh in, and he shook my hand, and I said it'd be a great honour to share a ring with you tomorrow. I said, "But you made a mistake. I will knock you out." And he said, "No, no, no, I'll knock you out." And I said, "Trust me." I said, "I'll knock you out."
And what was it like? Obviously, normally you see a lot of the like big fights take place like like UK or like America. What was it like to be out in Russia? Was it a bit of a different atmosphere to what you were used to?
It was and it wasn't, because I boxed in Russia before 2010. I boxed in St. Petersburg, so it was a mad experience, and it was like little things where you could see they didn't care for the away fighter. For example, I went for the medical, and Roy Jones was before me on the boxing medical, and he must have been there for about 15, 20 minutes, just have a little once over. I sat down, the doctor said, "You good?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Good luck tomorrow." That was it. He didn't check nothing about me. He just said, "Carry on." Like, so it was just mad. They called us to the ring 40 minutes early. They made me wait in the fire in the freezing cold, because it was in an ice rink. And just tried everything, but I'm one of them. I'm pretty much stubborn. When I got something on my mind, I'm pretty much hard to be distracted.
Moving on from that, I want to ask you, what do you feel was your greatest night in the ring?
It's got to be winning the world title against Marcelo Dominguez. He had the reputation as the hardest chin in world boxing. Never been down, never been hurt. Two-time WBC world champion, and I was hitting him at some points, and budging. I was hitting him clean, and wherever I hit clean, there you go. But I caught him in the eighth or ninth round. I think it was an uppercut, and it would have knocked the ball out. And he started trying to get up off that as well. But he's like, and people think the achievement for me winning a world title is my greatest achievement. But my greatest achievement was actually seeing my dad's face, seeing his son win a world title. 'Cause that's all my dad wanted, was his son to win a world title. And so that probably meant more to me than actually winning the world title myself.
Like when that moment happened and you'd achieved both yours and your dad's dream, how did that make like in that moment, how did it make you feel?
To be honest, mate, I just can't remember. And not from it's not from the punches I've taken over the years. It was just surreal. Do you know what I mean? I was world champion. That's what I wanted. And I remember I remember being in a ring and just holding my dad. Me and my dad at a photo, and it was all it was all it was all surreal to me. It's a mad feeling all my life. I'm a 10-year-old kid. My dad drilled me into being a world champion, and I wanted to be a world champion. And I done it at the age of 26.
And is that obviously is that what you're doing now? Obviously, you've retired, moved on. Now you train people as well. Is that what you want to achieve now? Would you look? How would it feel for you to not then win a world title as a fighter and then win it as a trainer as well?
It'd be amazing. I've been coaching for years. I've been coaching. It was my dad's amateur gym, and I remember boxing weight braithwaite on a Saturday night, and I remember cornering a boy in the local championships on a Sunday. I've done it. I've done it for years, and the gym's bouncing at the moment. I got like about 50 people in there, and they all do my head in, but they're all good workers, and they all. And I got really some potential good fighters.
My final question is, how would you like to be remembered in the professional game?
Just someone who gave his best. I was scared of no one. I feared no man, and I always come to give my best. And I always wanted the public to go home happy, even if I lost. They knew I was still coming to fight.
Enzo, it's been an absolute honor to talk to you today. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Josh, and well done.
Thank you. Honestly, I appreciate it so much. Thank you.